Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jamar. Today's episode 160, and we're going to be interviewing Bert F. How you doing, Bert?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to do this. What about you?
I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. I got a good story to tell. So
Yeah, definitely. Just consider this like a speaking commitment.
right.
All right. So, first question I got for you is tell me about growing up. Go all the way back to childhood.
Um, when I was a kid, um, you want me to start when I started doing drugs or
No, just when you were a kid, just life. How was life growing up?
life was I hung out with the older kids always. I grew up with my two uncles was the same age as me, which is weird, but so we grew up and we I played sports. I used to love basketball. I was good at all the sports I played, and I had a pretty fun life as a kid. I got in a lot of trouble, you know. Uh,
What kind of trouble?
I was we'd sneak in the neighbor's pond down the road and go fishing, and just stuff like that. We'd sneak out the window at night and ride our bikes. Actually, we would go through the neighborhood because we didn't have a lot of money, so our bikes wasn't that great. So we would go steal other kids' bikes and ride them all night long, and then put them back, and then go crawl back through the window. And by the morning before my grandma would get up. So yeah, life was different when we was kids than it is now. You know,
How so? What was different about it?
well, I think I don't know how old I was when Nintendo came out, but all the kids now, you know, all they do is play games, and then the world's just like like the stuff we used to do as kids. I'd never would allow my kids to go do like or that they wouldn't even go do it. They wouldn't get outside to go do it. They got it because they want to be stuck on the games. But like we used to wait for the creeks to flood, and we'd walk all the way up to the interstate, and which was probably I don't know a good couple miles through the woods. My grandma owned 100 acres, so but we would jump in the creeks and we would float down it, until we get to my grandma's land, which was really stupid. Don't do that. I'm not kids. Don't do that. That's very dangerous. But we do stuff like that. Where we'd go crawfishing and we'd may have our play guns and play war. And then I remember one time me and my oldest uncle, which was like 2 years. He's like 2 years older than me. And his name's Kenneth Henry. Um, Me and him would always team up against my friend down the road, and then my other uncle, and then we'd play war. We'd spend half a day, on one side of the 100 acres, making our uh, forts, and then building our little traps for them when they come along, and then they would do the same thing. And then I remember one time. My friend down the road, he's got on his four wheel, and we had all these traps set to where when they did step in the hole and the thing would had strings tied where the thing would come down and hit them, which was very dangerous. But anyways, he come through his four wheeler and messed up all our traps. But that's the kind of stuff we did. We played a lot of basketball, a lot of hide and go seek, a lot of football.
So it
So
sounds like sounds like a pretty normal child growing up, playing, getting a
right,
little bit of trouble here and there.
yeah. But back then it was come summertime, you had to get outside. You wasn't sitting inside playing no game anyways. You came back for lunch and ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you had to get your butt back outside. That's the way I grew up.
Me
But
too. It was all about going outside and, like you said, playing war, playing hide and go seek, doing stuff like that.
right,
Yeah, 'cause I didn't. Nintendo didn't come around until I was about 8 years old.
yeah, me too. It's me too.
So it wasn't like a thing where you stayed inside all day and
Oh
played.
no.
Yeah,
No, my parents, you got like 30 minutes when you got off the school bus, and that's before you had to wash dishes and stuff.
yeah.
So I remember one summer, my dad and mom wanted decided they want to make a goldfish pond. This was like my worst summer as a child, as a kid. Anyways, and so I swear I dug on that goldfish pond like the whole summer. And my friends would come over, and my parents would put them to work digging the goldfish pond too. And I remember I know nobody wanted to come to my house no more because the goldfish pond. But it ended up being a really big, nice goldfish pond with the big rocks in it. But I'll never forget that summer, man. I was so pissed off that we dug and dug and dug, and then my dad ended up covering it up. They built a house and they built it on top of the goldfish pond. I was so pissed. but um, but yeah, we had a normal. I had a normal childhood.
So how were your parents growing up?
They worked all the time. Until I was like 15 and my dad got hurt and he didn't work. He hurt his back. But my mom, she always worked. Um,
How'd your dad hurt his back?
uh, my whole family's always built cabinets. Um, and he was picking up a cabinet, toting one cabinet, and his back give out and he slipped a disc in his back. And then and that's pretty much been the end of his working career. He's been on disability ever since. But they're split up now. It's 41 years they was together, and they just split up last year. So, but yeah, they worked all the time. So I had a little sister. I had to look out after. We didn't have babysitters. I was the babysitter, and but yeah, I mean it was pretty normal. I mean everything's pretty normal. We always had good Christmases, but we didn't have a whole lot of money. But my parents always made sure we had good Christmas. I always got some good things. Motorcycles. I grew up on motorcycles and four wheelers. You know, so I can't complain there. I can't say I ever did without.
That's good that you had a good childhood.
Right,
It's not always the case, especially with us addicts.
right.
So what were you like in school?
In school, I was kind of popular. I fit into all the groups. They got you got your preppy kids and your regular kids and then your gothic kids and then your skater kids, whatever. I got along with everybody. Um, I got along with the blacks, the whites, the Mexicans. It didn't matter. I fit in everywhere. I was always, um, I I was the one that was, I got in a lot of trouble, kind of, not a lot of trouble, but I was always into a lot of things. I played sports. I'm still the same way today. It's hard for me to be still. I'm always got to be moving. Um, but for the most part, I was real good at sports. You know, before I got on drugs, I was real good at sports. I won every 3-point shootout we had every year at homecoming. And I always go by. You get free pizza at Johnny's if you won a 3-point shootout, and I won every year. And I take all my friends to go eat free Johnny's. So the first year I played basketball, I went to Shooter High, and the first year I played basketball, we won a championship in that tournament that year. Um, uh, I think it's the I mean, it was junior varsity because I was like in the eighth grade, seventh or eighth grade. But um, yeah, I remember, we won a championship. It's the first one Coach Antley had gotten as a, junior league. And I didn't score a lot of points, but I helped win the game right at the end of the game. I don't remember what the score was, but it was real close. And Coach Antley said, Bert, do not let them get that ball down that court. And 3 times in a row they went to pass it, and I got it. When it went past the ball in, I got it. I'd either get it or I'd slap it out the way. And then a guy I was in school with, same grade with Jacob Brister, all 3 times I got it, threw it to him, and he went up for a layup. So, and it was like 30, 40 seconds on the clock. And then, so we scored 3 points. He got 3 2-point goals, like back to back to back. And I was part of that. So if it hadn't been for me, so I always felt good about that, you know. Um, but yeah, when we won the championship, it was all right. It was cool. And then as a T-ball, we won the championship the year I played. I never had to hit off. I never had to hit off the tee. The tee. I hit the ball every time. It was a big ordeal. Uh, but yeah, I was always good at sports. I love sports.
Yeah, for a certain amount of time they keep you out of trouble.
Right. But then I hung out with the older crowd because of the uncles I was telling you about. Uh, they hung out with I mean, we're from a small town in Shooter, and there's not a whole lot to do. And then I remember one summer I had I used to have, I was the kid. I had Dare stickers, you know, I thought it was cool. I liked the way it looked. I had Dare stickers all over my room, and it was like when they first started doing Dare. And I remember a friend of mine, Reef Brown, who came over with my uncle, and he came to my room and he's seen the Dare stickers, and he like got all on me like real bad, and he smoked weed, and then at the time my dad smoked weed, and I'm him and or my uncle, which is my dad's brother, but he's like I said, he's a couple years older than me. Um, they went into my room, into my dad's room, and they stole some of his weed, and then he made me smoke. He peer pressured me into smoking a joint with him right there because he's like, I can't have you being part of Dare. And so I smoked my first joint when I was like 13 or like 14 years old, and and then so obviously tore down all the Dare stickers, and then and then that's when my I guess my journey started.
How did it feel the first time you smoked weed?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I, I didn't like it. I just did it because everybody else was doing it. Really, um, it made me real. I mean, I don't know. It was a cool thing to do, you know, with the group of people I was hanging around with. They all smoked weed, but my dad always accused me of smoking weed. Like when I was 9, he was accusing me of smoking weed. I always had bloodshot eyes, and now I know why he used to accuse me, because somebody was stealing his weed and I didn't know it, but it's my uncle and reefing him on his work. They going and steal his weed, so he's always accused me of being high, and so and he never would say it to me. And now that I think about it, this is the reason why he's always accusing me, because his weed kept coming up missing, and he thought I was the one doing it, but he never would say that. To this day, my dad still won't admit he had weed in the house. I called him out on it one time because uh, I told him, Reefer found his weed, and he blamed it, saying it was one of the other guys, one of his friends at work. He brought it home for him, but I'm like, man, whatever, dude. I could smell it in their bedroom, them smoking weed. Um, but I didn't really like it. That wasn't my drug of choice. I didn't at the time, but that's what the thing was to do. But it always made me nervous. And I drive around and everybody else be drinking and smoking weed, and I would just smoke weed and I would drive. I always had the vehicle. And back then, when I was 15, the year I was 15 was the last year you could get your driver's license at 15. So I got my driver's license, and what we would do in school, what we started doing is a friend of mine, um, my baby mama's brother, uh, we would get after school. We would go to my friend Reef, the one that got me smoking weed. He got us hooked up with a guy from Ruston, and we would go to Ruston and get a dime bag. And I had a little Toyota Dually. They don't make them no more. I'm the only one that had one, and I thought it was the ugliest damn ride, and I was embarrassed of it, But I wish I had it now, because it was really a badass ride. But so we'd take the I had a Toyota Dually with the Roadrunner mud flaps, and it was painted light blue, and we would drive it into the ghetto, like we call it ghetto, the south side of town, and go see somebody by the name of Fat Hat, they called in, and we'd go get a dime bag. And we do that every Friday. And then we go get us some Mountain Dew, and then we'd either ride around. Jeremy had two sisters, and I ended up marrying both of them. I married one, left for her for the other one. It was a long story, but anyway, so we would ride around and smoke weed and drink Mountain Dew, and put $5 in gas and ride around that Toyota Dually all night long, and we'd go climb fire towers in the neighborhood or around, and we'd climb the fire tower and sit on top and smoke a joint. Be like, oh shit, be scariest thing to climb back down off that fire tower being stoned, but that's what we did as teenagers. And then um, I ended up I had this girl that I dated for a long, I I guess dated, but she was like my girlfriend for like 5 years. But we broke up, and that was my first true love, and or my high school love, and it broke my heart. And then I didn't know at the time, my friend Jeremy that I used to ride around and smoke weed with, he um he was snorting cocaine, and uh, I was all heartbroken, and that's when Pearl Jam came out with that song "Yellow Ledbetter," and so I'm listening to that song, and all tore up, and he's trying to get me to have fun, and I wouldn't, and I remember he's like, "Man, here, man, try this," and he laid out a line of cocaine, and and I tried. I was like, I was scared to death, and he's like, "Man, it make you feel better, it make you feel better," so I tried it, and when I went to go snort it, I blew it everywhere. And he was like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "No man, you gotta snort it." And so I snorted it, and it did. It it we went riding the roads, and I liked it more than I did smoking weed, and it helped me. And you gotta remember, I'm 15 years old, and so uh, some other friends. Like I had all this group of people that I'm hanging out with. Like I said, they're all the older crowd, and and I didn't know they was all doing meth, and I back then to crank. Um, but anyways, the older ones found out that I had tried cocaine, and then we used to have a buddy of mine's house. We used to go to his house on the weekends, and back then everybody was cool. Everybody hung out together. Back then, if you was from Shooter, we had a group, Shooter, P Ridge, and part of the Ruston High School people. We was like one group, and man, we all stuck together. We used to have a lot of fun, man. It was in the '90s. The music was awesome, and then, but anyways, we went to a party at my friend's house, and um, he's like, "Hey man, I heard you tried cocaine." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, man, try this." And then it looked like peanut butter, and he said, and I remember he said, "Eat it." No, yeah, we put it in a Mountain Dew bottle. What it was, just a little bit, put in a Mountain Dew bottle, and then I took a swig of it, and I remember like my knee wouldn't stop going, I couldn't stop moving, and then I was
What
high.
was it again? What was it?
It was meth.
It was meth. Okay.
But yeah, back then they called it crank.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's different than what they got out there now. But uh, yeah, I got high as a kite, and I went home, uh, and my mama was up, and I talked to her all night long and all morning long. I talked for like, I swear, 8 hours. Like, and then I was like, "This is my drug of choice. This is what I like," and so I figured out real quick I couldn't afford it. It was so expensive, and then so I started selling it, and so I'm 16 by now, 16 years old, and I used to have somebody come through the last recess of school and bring me an ounce of dope, and I'd get it, and I don't know if you remember the honky tonk in the alley, if you remember those bars in Monroe. You remember?
No.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so I'd go up there and sell dope on Thursday nights for honky tonk night, and then and on Saturday night, and then so I sold dope and did dope, and then um, that's how I paid for my habit. And then next thing you know, my lung collapsed. Uh, I had somebody come through, and they brought some cocaine, and it was really pure. And I remember um, getting it real high, and anyways, I was sitting in the room in my bedroom talking on the phone to my girlfriend, and I went to sit up, and I had this sharp pain, real sharp pain, and it was so sharp I couldn't move. Like, and I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. It's what it felt like, and so and I could barely whisper, barely talk, and I couldn't move. Man, I was in so much pain, and I had to get my girlfriend to hang up the phone and to call back and tell my mom and them to come back there and check on me. And so she did, and then they told me I was having growing pains, and I'm like, they don't know. I just been snorting cocaine. I'm thinking I'm dying. So I sit there for another hour before they take me to the hospital, and I ended up going to the hospital, and I had a collapsed lung. The stuff ate a hole through my lung. They say I was kind of tall and skinny, and my lungs were stretched. So, and it ate a hole through my lung and collapsed my lung. So I had to have it. They just pumped it back up or whatever they do, and then I don't know, probably a couple months later, I'm with them same friends hanging out. And we're at Darbone Creek partying, and I snort a line of dope, of meth, and I started feeling that feeling. Well, it was different. This lung went to, I have sharp pains and gurgling. Well, needless to say, this lung collapsed. So I had to go back to hospital. I'm in the hospital and they had to pump this lung back up. And then uh, I waited a while. I was still doing dope. I would just eat it instead of snorting it. And nobody knew that that's why my lung collapsed, but me and the people I was with. And because the doctors weren't allowed to tell my parents, that's the first thing I told them. You can't tell my parents, what I've been doing. And then, so I think it's been long enough, and I tried to snort some more, and guess what? My lung collapsed again. This one collapsed the second time, and so I ended up in the hospital again. And then um, another year, or I forget what grade I was in then, but anyways, the fourth time they collapsed, I was trying out for basketball, and I was doing dope, but I was trying out for basketball, and my lung collapsed on basketball tryouts. And back at the hospital. But when you have your second surgery on a lung, they have to put the chest tube in you and pump it back up. It's real painful, real painful. And so so here I am. I had what they did was they shaved half of each one of my lungs off, and they pumped pumped them, inflated them back or whatever, and super glued them to my chest wall, is what the doctor said. When I went to go to my last doctor visit, I had to determine I was done with meth. I would never do it again. And then when I go see the doctor, he tells me, he's like, "Son, your lungs can never collapse again." And I look at him, I'm like, "What?" Wow. I said, "What you mean?" And he knew I was doing drugs. So, and I said, "So what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, they can't collapse. There's no way possible your lungs can collapse again." And I'm sitting there looking at him like, "Now you know what I've been doing. Why would you tell me that? Because the first thing I'm gonna go do is go find out." And then like an idiot, that's what I did. And then so, um, you know, but he was right. They couldn't collapse no more. I did a lot of dope and they didn't collapse no more. So, um,
What were you like when you were high?
man, my problem was, uh, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can sit and bullshit it, but I mean, I'm like ADHD, man. I was the kind of person when I got high, I was chill. It just made me want to get high and have sex. With that's with the girl I was with.
Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard that from. I know a girl I interviewed said meth makes you real horny.
Yeah, it does, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Most times I really relapse is because I was with a girl, and then the excitement and thing about it, getting that high, because the way you feel, like the way you feel, is there's nothing that compares to it. When especially with somebody you want to be with, how you love, and yeah. So that was my addiction. Was that's the reason. Yeah, I kept end up going back and going back. Back then the dope that I got, or that we did, you didn't do that dope every day. If you did it every day, you probably wouldn't be here right now, because that was the kind of dope you do one little speck and you was high 3 days. And then, by the time you got done doing it, I mean, by the time you done been up 3 or 4 days, and you got sores all in your mouth, because the blisters, because the stuff is so strong. I mean, the stuff that we did back then, it eat a hole through a spoon. It rust a spoon right in the tube. And so you stay high so long, but by the time you came down, man, you just want to lay in the middle of the floor and cry. you just felt so bad. The come down was so harsh, and you just felt like it was the end of the world. And it was because, I mean, it was just terrible. So, then you spend, the next 3 or 4 days recuperating from that and then do it all over again, you know. But what I was like when I was high, man, it just, man, we just rode around. We drank a lot of Mountain Dew and played a lot of pool, you know, and then, you know, a lot of, uh, I guess, sex, that was that was my thing. And then I ended up, uh, the girl that I ended up, my baby mama, who always had the finest ass in school, excuse me, but she had the best looking ass in the whole school. And anybody who watches, they'll agree. Like, my baby mama had the best, prettiest ass, and I sit behind her every day. And every morning I'd walk in, I remember Mr. Postel. He's alive. He's a really good friend of mine now. He was my teacher then, but that's a whole different other story. But he's saved my life since then. But I'd walk in, he'd say, "What you on this morning, Bert?" And I'd be like, "Crack, cocaine, meth." And all the kids would laugh, but I really fucked up on dope. And then here comes my baby mama with this ass, walking in school. And then I always, picked on her, and talked shit to her and say, "God dang, you look like shit this morning." And she'd always slap the shit out of me or something, or hit me. But really, man, she was so beautiful. She still, to this day, she's still beautiful, but she just had that butt. And then so I chased her all through high school, being friends with her, being friends with her. Well, when we got out of school, she needed a place to live, and her mom was left her husband and hooked up with somebody else, and she took off to Missouri, and here I am. I moved out when I was 15, like 16 years old. I was renting my own 3 bedroom house. I was going to school. I had a job at the truck stop in Calhoun, washing 18 wheelers. And man, it's the shittiest job I ever had. Hardest job because you washing them cow shit trailers, and then it was, as you say, so. Anyway, that's what I did, and I sold dope. And then I'd get myself up to go to school, but I skipped most school. I'd go to school, check in, and take off, and I stay gone all day long. I was a welder in school. I'm skipping around, but I'm just trying to tell the story. I ended up with my baby mama, but I was a welder in school. I'll come back to that, man. But that's a whole. But anyways, I kicked ass at welding. Like they threw me in the welding. And I should just back up really, and because I left a whole big important part of my life out. In school, uh, you could dip in ag, and you could hide back there and dip, and maybe every now and then you smoke a cigarette, and you open the back door, Mr. Ed wasn't in there, and you could hang your head out the back of the school and you could smoke cigarettes. So I wanted to be in ag class, and I wanted to be on, you was the shit if you was like on the welding team or the small engines team. It was a big deal at shooting it because Mr. Ed was a hell of a teacher. When they'd go to state, that they won championships. So I wanted to weld, and the main reason I wanted to weld just so I could then sit down there and dip. Well, he got mad. I wasn't on the welding team, nothing. He got mad at his welders, and he got mad at his small engines team. I don't know what they did to this day. I still don't know. But he kicked them all. And these was people who, when they went to state, they won championships. But they must have did something really bad because he got rid of every one of them, both small engine teams and both welding teams. And he normally waits till ninth grade before you could weld. Well, no, like 10th grade. And he asked me, he said, "Man," he said, I just got rid of my welders. You want to weld? Let me see what you can do. So, man, I spent half that year of school down there welding because I won every championship, every competition we went to. And this ain't no lie. My people from my school can back this up. Well, I think we have 4 or 5 term or meetings and competitions, and I won the first one. I had 3 weeks to weld, and I gas welded where you got the hose over you and you brazing. But man, I practiced and practiced and practiced, and man, on my first competition, I won first place. And then my partner Jeremy, which was the guy who I rode around with and got high with, I ended up marrying his sister. He was arc welder, so we had to be partners. and he took first place. And then I remember we went to Dubach and won. We went to NLU and won. We won every competition we went to. And then when we went to Tech, you had to win at Tech to make it to LSU. And so I remember my first year we at Tech, and this dude thought it was gonna be funny. He said, "We're gonna run a bead with the number 4 tip," and I'm talking about it's like with a brazen rod and but brass. That's unheard of. You're supposed to use a little zero. Anyway, needless to say, I nailed it. I could feel everybody behind me. And so I'm feeling it, boy. And then I just, man, I laid the perfect bead. And so I was like famous in the ag thing at school because I won all these championships. And then we went to state and we took second place in state. I got second. I didn't win. I got second high individual in state, which is a big deal. And I
Yeah.
was and I was sick as a dog. I mean, puking sick. But I almost didn't go because I was so sick. And I down there, I was so sick, miserable. And I went down there and I put that bead down anyways. And I still got second place that year. And but anyway, so I skipped school and I tell everybody I was welding, and I wouldn't be. I'd be getting high or whatever, what I was doing. And then I just don't know. I just left that part out of my school, and that's very important. That had a very big impact on me because it come back later. I ended up getting my weld certificate like 5 years ago. Mr. Postel taught me. But anyways, yeah. So my baby mama, uh, that's who. Me and Jeremy we close. What? Yeah. So I ended up getting out of school and I'm working. I ended up quitting halfway through my senior year because my lung collapsed, and they told me that I was going to come back because I missed so much school. And I'm like, man, I'm living on my own at this time. I was like, I can't do that, man. And I just went to work for my uncle. He had a big business, and I went to work, doing the family business, building cabinets and carpenter work. And we worked out of town. We was building these nursing homes, and I worked out of town. And my baby mama, I was back for the weekend. I ran into her, and then she was working up at the diner and shooting her. And I asked what she's doing. She told me that her mama took off to Missouri, and so she didn't really have a place to stay. I asked where she was living. She said she knows. So I was like, look, I got this 3-bedroom house. This is my way in the door right here. I was like, I got this 3-bedroom house. I'm gone all the time. I'm never there. You can come stay there, and then you can watch the place. And so that's what she did. And then uh, my uncle ended up losing the business, and he went to jail. And so I'm at the house with her. And anyways, we ended up. I drove a 16-pound mile every day for like a whole year. So I was in the best shape of my life and had this body, so I won her over, what I say. And but she didn't do drugs. She didn't do drugs. She was totally against it. And but
You were using the whole time?
off and on.
Off and
And
on?
man, and I was trying to get her to, it's not bad to say, but I'm trying to get her to because man, she was so fine. And I want to get high with her and do our thing, And but she wouldn't, and so but she never gave me like I do it. It was just every now and then I do it because we ended up we had she got pregnant. She was a good mom in pregnancy, and then when she had my son Austin, um, I decided I was done. I'm not gonna do drugs no more. I got a family, man. I got a lot going for me. By this time, I'm working at Louisiana Tech. Um, I got a nice truck. We got a new place, new house, 4 acres of land. I got my new son, and my friend Reef, the one who got me to smoke weed the first time, that tore down my Dare stickers. I remember he come over and he hung out with me one weekend, and we just drank beer. We went to go fishing. We went and hung up some trout lines at Darbon. We spent the weekend together, man. And and I remember he telling me he wanted to change his life. He said about going in the Marine, going in the National Guard. He was tired of doing the same thing, and I was like, "This is Reef saying this." I'm like, "Damn, man." I was like, "You all right, buddy?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to do something different." Reef always toted a gun ever since I knew him. Matter of fact, the first day I met him, we got in trouble because he shot out the damn my friend down the road. He shot out the window car across the street at the shop. You know, we all got in trouble. The first day I met Reef, I should have known. Stay away from him. But anyways, but so Reef, when I grew up with Reef, he taught me a lot in life. He taught me a lot. And I used to fight a lot, and I'd always call Reef. He'd come pick me up, and they come get me, and we go. And I was always fighting over that girl I was in love with, and it breaking my heart. But anyways, um, yeah, we spent the weekend together, and then he showed up at my house. We just drank, no drugs. He smoked his little weed, and we went fishing and spent the weekend. And anyways, so he leaves, and it was nice, seeing Rafe again, because really, uh, when my baby mama got pregnant, I stopped hanging out with everybody, and and then I stuck to myself, and then when I had my baby, I did right, and he came, and then he showed up, and then we spent the weekend together. Well, then he shows up like 3 weeks after that, and with all these people I went to school with, the younger people, I hung out with older people. When I was in 10th grade, there wasn't nobody left for people that I grew up with. All the people I hung out with had either dropped out or graduated. So he shows up with all these people that was like in my same grade, because I failed a couple times, and all these people, like I remember he's like 2 trucks with all the people I used to get high with, and a lot of people I was in school with, and they like coming to my house to party, and they was all drunk and fucked up, and I was pissed, man. I'm like, I was like, man, I told him, I was like, man, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Why don't you show up at my house like this? I got a baby, I got a wife, you don't just show up like this and all these people I don't fuck with no more. And I was really rude to him. And this last time I seen him alive, man, he left, and then he was buying some. I didn't even know. Like every now and then he'd do crack, and then he ended up being on the south side of Ruston buying some crack, and him and the dude got out of altercation, and they pulled out guns. Reef always toted a gun. He lived by the gun. He died by the gun. And anyways, he ended up getting shot and killed, and yeah, at a very young age, and it broke my heart. I felt bad because I never did get a chance to tell him. Um, I apologize for the way I treated him. I mean, he was just Rafe was one of them. He kept everybody together, man. We had this certain clique, and we all stayed a clique. And Reef kept everybody. Uh,
Together.
yeah, yeah. Like you go to Reese. Reef kept. You may have. We had this group, and Reef kept us all together in a way because he hung out with everybody. Everybody loved Reef. He was cool as he was cool as shit. A little skinny, little some bitch, but the craziest motherfucker you ever met. Everybody's scared of him. If I'm going into war, I'm bringing Reef. But he was a good friend. He was a loyal friend, and then, like I said, he died, and it broke my heart. It broke a lot of people's heart, and so yeah, and then some couple years went by, and then uh, I wound up, I got hurt. I was working for a company called Westman Marble, and I got hurt toting granite. I did granite. My dad and them built cabinets, and I hated cabinets, man. That's what they all did. So I wanted to do something different, so I did countertops. I did Corian, and I did granite countertops, and because I worked for Louisiana Tech, where after my friend Reef got killed, I just wanted to do something different, man. I worked with a bunch of old people, and it's like working with a bunch of old women. They just gossiped and shit. And then it came up for the guy that was my boss moved up to a certain position where this position was coming available, and you had all these people trying to backstab one another, and they're like all old as shit. I'm the youngest one up there, and then the guy that I ended up working with when I started Tech, the guy I worked with that taught me about all the sleeping in the rooms and shit during the day after lunch, doing all the shit you ain't supposed to do during work. I mean, it's the most laid back job I ever had. But he becomes the boss. And then it was, he acted like, he treated me different. Like when he became the boss, they had moved me up to locksmith position. And when he became the boss, he just treated me like this is a dude I'm supposed to be real good friends with. We work together every day, but he became the boss and he flipped. and he treated me like he knew I was doing all this shit that he taught me how to do. But he's treated me different, and so I just like, you know what, fuck this, man. All these old people and all that gossiping and backstabbing, I ain't got time for that shit, man. So I quit. I got mad and quit, and then because they gave my locksmith position to somebody else that had more seniority that came from Ruston Housing Authority, and I was like, screw this. So I found a job a couple days later. I was just riding around door to door, and I got a job at West Window Marble, and found something I was really good at. Like within the year, I was the shop foreman, I was the head installer, and then I did that. I don't know, for like a year or two, and then I got hurt. Totally granted, what happened was I got a hernia, and I went in to have a hernia operation, and they clipped a cord that went to my testicle. They didn't tell me. I wake up, my nuts is all swole up, huge, and I come home, and so I'm in the bed, and I can't get up and walk to the toilet. I mean, I get up, stand up beside the bed to piss, and my nuts were swole up, and man, it hurt so bad. Well, a month later, everything's still swole up. I'm not healed, and I know something's wrong, and I go to LSU, and they're not telling me nothing. I'm like, man, they done messed up something. They done did something wrong. So I go, my grandma pays for me to go see a specialist. He tells me that they jacked me up, that they clipped the cord that went to my testicle, which when that happens, and this is repairing a hernia operation, but when that happens, it kills the blood flow to your testicle and to your everything on the right side. So uh, the doctor tells me that he thinks he can save the testicle because it produces hormones, but he's going to take out my epididymis, which produces sperm. So I go in and have another surgery, and then they take it out, and I'm laid up another month. So I got all this nice stuff, man. I got nice house, new truck, new kid, beautiful wife, and I was real prideful. And I done been off work like 6 weeks, and then so my family, I had a lot of my families from California, and they're truck drivers, so they had the best dope. And I'm sitting there thinking, how am I gonna keep all my shit without losing it? So I called my family in California, and I said, look, man, I'm about to lose everything I got. Can y'all help me out? And I wind up going and taking a loan out on my truck for $1,000, and um, I sent the money to California, and for them to bring me back some dope, and they used to haul cars back from California to Dallas. So I wound up going to Dallas and getting the best dope as you ever seen around. I mean, I used ice back then, and ain't nobody ever seen no ice around here. Nobody ever seen that shit. I ain't never seen it. And you smoking it out of pipe, but it's just fire. And so I'm in the bed. They end up taking my epididymis, and I'm still messed up. And then the doctor tells me he's got to take out my testicle. I'm like, damn, why don't you just get it when you got the epididymis, man? And he's like, I was hoping it wouldn't die because if something happens to the other testicle, then you got to take girl hormone pills. And he's like, I was trying to save your testicle, but we're gonna have to take it. So that's another month off. So I have that surgery. So I'm in the bed and I'm selling dope out of my bed, man. I told everybody I'm back in the game, and I got this new shit that ain't nobody ever seen, and I can't walk, but I'm weighing up grams in the bed selling dope, and it was fire dope. And then that's when, I ended up. That's how I paid for all my shit and didn't lose everything. Well, when I healed, uh, the company I was working for, they fired me, West Window Marble, and because really I could have sued them, and or I could have I could have tried to get workman's comp, but I ain't never been about that shit. So I just started my own business. That they didn't want me to draw unemployment, they fought me on unemployment, so I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna be competition, and I wound up finding a company in Monroe, a big company, that sold marble. And I told them who I was and what I did and what I could do. And then they bought me all the equipment I needed. And I had a shop at my papa's behind my house. So I went to work for myself doing Korean kitchen countertops. But the dope, I still sold dope. I couldn't, you know, that lifestyle, but I sold dope. And we worked around all these important people working in these $500,000 houses. Nobody had a clue. I was a functioning drug addict, and nobody had a clue what I was doing, and that's what I did. And then until I ended up getting busted.
What
I wound
happened when
up.
you got? How bad was it when you got busted?
Well, I left my. This is what happened, man. I left my baby mama. Where's my baby? I dropped my baby. I left my baby mama. I left my baby mama for her sister. I told you that the two sisters I hung out with and her brother, I grew up with them. When we used to ride around and smoke weed, one weekend it was with my baby mama, and then the next weekend it'd be with her sister. And so I was real close to both of them. And the sister, um, I left out a whole part where when I started selling dope, my baby mama got on dope. Uh, and I feel real bad for it. I wasn't the first one to give it to her. Her sister was, but I tried for a long time to get her to do dope. She wouldn't. But when she did do dope, she did it. It was great. We didn't come out the bedroom for 3 months. I swear to God. And so it made our relationship awesome. And while I'm healing, um, but then, um, everything good don't last. And then she got on dope, and it wasn't good for her in our relationship, and it just fucked everything up. And
Let me ask you this question, because of the way you've been talking. Do you think you're addicted to sex?
no, I mean everybody likes sex. I liked having sex with my baby mama, or with the person I'm in love with. You get
Okay,
high,
so for you, it has to do with love. Okay, I get it.
yeah. It just makes it so much better. And then,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I was addicted. Like it changed. I mean, like I said, a lot of sex was involved with me and my baby mama, and then, but but we started having threesomes and stuff with other women, and it just fucked everything up, and then it changed. You know, uh, I, just bad things happen, man. And then her sister, she was a functioning drug addict, and she worked at Community Trust Bank in Calhoun, and she ran it. She was a manager, and she did dope, and she drove a nice ride, and she took care of the kids. And I thought the grass was greener on the other side. She was more compassionate. My baby mama, she's not one of those that talks about feelings and shit. And then Nicole was, and then but one day in the office, I'm depositing some money, and then I don't know, man. We kissed. It was really crazy, but it was the devil, really, what it was. But it felt like it. I mean, I can't explain it. I left my baby mama that day, and she left her husband, and and then my father-in-law, he called. We stayed running roads for a month, and then um, but I ended up with the sister, and the father-in-law told me, he said, you either go back to your baby mama, or I'm gonna make your life hell. And he was a Mason, okay, and retired at the fire department. All the people at the sheriff's department in Lincoln Parish was tied with. They was friends with him. Went to Mason, went to church, and I did this terrible thing, and it really was, man. I mean, then I thought I was doing the right thing. But anyways, let's just say I ended up getting arrested 5 times in 1 month, and not for drugs, but just for whatever. I mean, they couldn't bust me for drugs. They kept kicking in my door and pulled me over, and they never could get me. And then so they just started arresting me for shit I didn't do. I'd get knock on the door and open the door, and they just grab me, handcuff me, and just throw some bullshit charge on me. It'd be domestic abuse, or it'd be improper use of telecommunications. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm at my house. I got a restraining order against my baby mama, and she ain't allowed in my house. I'm not around her. I ended up getting custody of the kids because I broke her heart. But at the time, I didn't see it that way. But anyways, the ultimate thing that happened was I didn't know the feds was around here, and I wasn't worried about it. In my mind, I could, I used to have the dope. I was getting it FedEx from California, and and so I'm getting it FedEx from California, and nobody knew where it went but me. And then I wind up slipping, and then the person, eh, I end up okay. And I was with the sister, and I kept getting arrested. The final, I told me to go back to my baby mama. Well, the sister that I was with, she was jealous of the girl who was selling dope for me. I had a lady, and she sold a lot of dope. I mean, we were selling like a pound a week, and then getting the FedEx in the mail. And my baby mama and I ended up going. I ended up going back to my baby mama before I went to federal prison because I ended up losing the kids, and I'm like, fuck that. So I went back to my baby mama, and then uh, I was still secretly seeing the sister. And then one time I let somebody know where the dope was being FedEx to, and then me and the girl, I ain't the my I told the sister where the dope was going, and she went and told her daddy. And I got people pulling up here. Um, anyways, hey, is there any way I can pause this for a minute, man? Can you hold on 1 second?
All right, and we're back. So during everything going on, how's your drug use? Is it getting worse and worse? I mean, because you have access to all that dope. Like you're getting pounds, you said. So was
Yeah.
it getting like progressively worse, or were you somewhat in control?
Well, for me, I had too much riding. Like I was in control, man. I had to be because I was getting a pound fronted to me, and I had to pay for it. And but I was in control. I felt like, but I was breaking down everybody around me because all my friends who used to have jobs, you know, when I started selling dope, I mean, who do you sell to? I mean, who are you gonna sell dope to? To your friends. So all
Mhm.
these people who had jobs and shit, don't none of them have jobs no more, and it messed up the people around me worse than me. Um, that was
Why weren't they working? They were getting high.
they was too strung out. I mean, shit, and then you know, I had this team of people that I had selling dope. They all I ended up fronting them dope, and they sold dope, and but then people started getting in trouble and shit, and people start doing dumb shit. So I cut them off, and then I'd cut them off, and then because they all quit their jobs and shit, man. Yeah, everybody, um, it just destroyed all the lives around me. It destroyed them, but me, I'm still selling dope. My bill's getting paid, you know. But until I went to federal prison, but yeah, I mean,
So tell
look,
us about that. Tell us about going to federal prison.
I got the lady I ended up getting out and marrying. Uh, she ended up telling on. She told on me. Um, they was trying to get the girl busted that was selling the dope for me because they was jealous of her. My baby mama and her teamed up, and I didn't know this at the time. And she went to her dad and told her dad where the dope was going. And one time I let anybody know anything, and I had it sent to the girl's house that was selling dope for me. Because I had court that day, and they prepaid me up front, paid me for it up front, and they had to have it on this day. So um, she gave me the address, and I ended up telling uh, the one my wife now. We're been separated 7 years, but the other sister. And then, so what she did, they went and told their dad, and their dad got with the feds and told the feds where the package was going. But she ends up getting busted, and then domino effect, and she got busted, and then I got busted, and then so I go to federal prison for 2.5 years, and
How was prison?
man, a vacation. It was a vacation because I was in love with two women. I had two sisters. Can you imagine being in love with two sisters? And I couldn't. I kept going in between, and I had 3 kids. I didn't want but one kid, and then next thing you know, like every time I left my baby mama, a week later she tell me she's pregnant. You know, I think she bottled that shit up and saved it. When I leave, she'd tell me she's pregnant, you know. But I'm glad she had them. I love my kids. But man, I got 2 kids, shitty diapers. I got pit bulls. Um, I got all the people doing dumb shit around me. I, my father-in-law was right when he called me and told me I should have stuck with my baby mama. I'm gonna drop the hammer on you, boy. I should have listened, and I did. I thought I was invincible, and so but when I got to jail, it was scary, man. I get busted. I done been arrested 5 times in 1 month. I bonded out, bonded out, bonded out, and feds get me. They beat the fuck out of me, man. I had somebody tell me when the feds get you, they gonna fuck you up. Well, I didn't believe it. They did. They fucked me up. Dude. You know, they beat the shit out of me and then took me to jail. And I'm thinking I'm gonna get a bond. Nah, they told me, they said, you either cooperate. If you want to get a bond, you better cooperate. And I'm like, man, fuck you. You just beat my ass, dude. I ain't telling you shit. I said, I'll be out tomorrow. No, but the feds, you don't get a bond. If it's drug related or gun related, you don't get a bond. So 6 months, I'm in jail before I ever even went to court. I went to court. They called me a menace to society, and then gave me a court date for 6 months from then, and I was devastated because all my kids still slept in the bed with me, man. And I didn't know at that time how I got busted. You know, I thought it happened on because they said in the paperwork that the dog smelled it in California, and so they worked it from this end and you know, and then busted us. But that ain't the way it happened, and I didn't notice at the time. So I'm in federal prison, and I know I'm in jail for 6 months before I got shipped to federal prison. But I get there, man. It's like a big day camp. It's like being at a big ass college campus with no women. You got handball, tennis courts, basketball courts, volleyball. Well, shit, man. Like I said, I fit in everywhere. I played spades with the blacks at night. I played volleyball in the daytime. My blood brother, I got a scar right here. I got a scar because the dude that made me strong in jail, I broke down when I wouldn't get a bond, and I'm in jail, man. I'm missing my kids, and then my wife tells me, I remember because I went back to my baby mom. I was writing her a letter and she disappeared for like a week, and then she got the kids taking away drugs. They did drugs, you know. She didn't stop. Yeah, I thought because I stopped, I'm gone. You know, I'm thinking everybody else gonna stop. You know, I stopped. Y'all gotta stop. No, they keep going. They just find somebody else to get the dope from. And anyways, my baby mama gets the kids taken away, and she tells me, she says, "Why you writing me? I couldn't get her to answer like for 4 or 5 days. Finally, she answers phone, and um, I said, where you been? She said, well, she got me back, man. She said, why you've been writing me these letters about this letter about being up against that cold brick wall at night sleeping. I've been between your best friend's legs, sucking his dick every night. And man, so I reached back, I punched the brick wall, break my hand, and then I'm devastated, man. Like, how did I let my life get to the? I was heartbroken. Wow, I've been running around with a sister, man. You know, so who I go to, I call a sister, and then she's out running around doing dope. She's doing, and anyways, I'm calling her crying. Well, she sends me $50 every week while I'm in jail. Uh, she sent me $50 every week and brought my kids to Beaumont, Texas every other weekend to see me uh, for 2 years. I thought that was love. That's why her name's on my neck. But really, it's because she helped put me in jail and felt guilty, you know. But I didn't know that then. So I do my stint in jail, and I get out, and I'm flying straight, man. I get out the very day I get out. The guy from Dish Network showed up to hook up my dad's satellite. I asked him was it hiring. The next day, I'm working for Dish Network, and I'm making, and then um, I I wind up, uh, man, I was making like $2,000 every 2 weeks, $2,400. I'm like, shit, I should have been doing this to selling drugs and doing dope, you know. So I'm like living a good life. I'm making money. I got my kid. You know, I get out and I end up with the sister, you know, because I think she loved me and she did love me, but I don't know the hope. You know, all the past it comes back to light because the sister's still using. She quits using. She quits doing drugs when I get out of jail. But so she kept saying, I just want to get high one time. I just want to get high. And I'm like, man, I'm making a killing for this network. I'm working buku hours, you know. And I'm like, man, I can't do no dope because I know I'll be fucked up for a week. and then I fucked my job up. And man, I remember the first Christmas, that the year came around, this Christmas time, I went and bought. I spent like $6,000 for Christmas. You know, that's how much money I was making, living a good life, boy, making money. I went and bought my kids 4-wheelers, had a big ass Christmas, man, because the Christmas before, I got out 2 days before Christmas, I got out of jail and I couldn't buy them shit. And I said, no, I won't happen again. So the next year they had a big Christmas, but I ended up marrying my wife, my baby mama's sister, and but she kept on. I just want to get high one time. I just want to get high one time. She kept on, and and you know, so I'm like, look, we'll just do cocaine. Cause thinking about the sex, I want to get high. We'll have some good sex one night, and that'd be a wrap. And I'm like, look, let's just do cocaine because it won't last. I won't be up a week. I'll just be up just a day or two. You know what I mean? I'd be just at night and I can go to sleep and I'll be able to go to work. I won't fuck my job up. And so she goes and gets her some cocaine. She gets there and she pulls out a needle, man. I'm like, what the fuck you doing? And she pulls out a needle and she does a big old shot. And I'm scared to death of needles, man. I'm 28 years old. I ain't never did a needle in my life, but I can't have this girl doing something, this girl I love doing something I ain't never done. I'm like, man, what? Hit me. I want to see what that's all about. Let me know. And so she did hit me with a shot of cocaine. And man, it's the best feeling in the world. I felt like it's the best feeling I ever had in my life for 5 minutes, you know. And then I want to feel it again. So then I end up being a cokehead for the next year. Yeah, if I just thought about getting high on cocaine, I'm going to get some. And I spent most of my kids' money on my money on cocaine, and everything went to shit. Uh, and come to find out, she's still doing from cocaine. We went back to dope, and I'm the manager for Dish Network by now, and I'm doing dope, and uh, yeah. And I end up, when you start doing dope again, everything goes bad. I lose my job for Dish Network, and then so um, I go right back to selling dope again. You know,
When did you, um, so let's talk about your recovery. When did you decide you needed to get better? What happened?
man, I went through cancer, and I had quit doing dope. I got custody of my kids. I got to finish telling you this part. I finished. I me and my I ended up. I caught my wife cheating, and then so we broke up, and then I went heavy on the drugs and then I came. I left for 3 months. I kept the father-in-law. He started getting me arrested again, and then anyways, I ended up leaving and I come back. I left to go to Arkansas 3 months, and I came back and I won. I fought for a year to get custody of my kids. I got sober. I got my kids back, and I got my kid. I ended up getting custody of the kids. I did everything I had to do and then some, and then I got custody of the kids. And then my papa got sick. My papa gets sick, and then I get sick with cancer, and then so I went back to using dope again, and then and I haven't stopped, and that's been like 5 years ago. And then my recovery was my papa died. I beat cancer, and and I wind up after cancer. I lost my house, and I ended up getting arrested again, and I got tired of sleeping on people's couches, man. Um, I survived cancer, but uh, my kids are grown now, but I didn't have no responsibilities. So I went back to selling dope again, and it just got bad, man. Everything got bad. I had a gun put on me for 2 laptops. I had somebody pull a gun on me, and just everything's just bad, man. The world's bad out there right now. The drugs, it ain't what to be in. And I just, man, one day I was like, you know what? I'm 43 years old. I'm tired of this shit. And I had a friend named Kayla. She's a real good friend of mine. She's sober. She moved up north and they got sober, her and her old man. But she pleaded to me for, I don't know, man, for a while. She's like, Bert, I see potential in you. She's like, you're different than everybody else, man. She said, man, why don't you go to rehab? She said, you got a story to tell. You're a good hearted person. She's like, I promise you, man, you feel so much better if you go to rehab. And so I'm going to rehab, and then uh, not I didn't go. Day I'm supposed to go, I chicken out, when got high, took off, and didn't go. And then it just kept getting. And I'm duck turf for the past 2 months, and because I told her I was headed to rehab, I called you when I get out, and then I didn't go. But just things got bad, man. I got gun put on me. My best friend, my best friend died walking across the parking lot. Um, I guess he had a heart attack. This was probably about 2.5 months ago, and I just, man, me and him talked about getting sober, and I didn't want to go out like him, man. And then my friend Kayla, what she had said to me, so I was one day I said, you know what, after dude pulled a gun on me, I was like, man, screw this, dude. There's got to be, it can't get. I mean, what I got to lose, man. Because in my heart, I always feel like I got something great. I mean, I am a walking miracle. I had so many surgeries. I am a walking miracle, and then so I got so much to give, and I didn't know it in my head. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care about nothing. It's just whatever. I'm gonna sell dope, beat the dope game. This is rap music. This is me. This is what I'm gonna do, and I ain't never stopping. And then the Lord will sit you down. I guess he had something else for me, playing for me. But I went to rehab and I loved it, man. Um, I got to rehab. I got myself there. I called, I arranged everything, and then none of my friends believed, or the people I did dope with, none of them believed I was gonna go. Nobody believed I was gonna go. But Edgefield Recovery, I called them because I looked like the top 5 recoveries, and that's one of the ones that came up, and the pictures, it was beautiful, and the women and guys can mix, and so I'm like, that's where I'm gonna go. And I got there, and man, it's like some shit out of a movie, man. It was so beautiful there, and the nurses, or the techs, man, they was so nice, and and man, when you're out here and you try to quit drugs, you feel like shit, and you ain't motivated. But for some reason, it seems like when you go to rehab, you had 3 days sleeping, you wake up, you're good. It's different environment, and it felt so good, man. For 3 years, I fought cancer, or 3 years. It's been 3 years since I had my surgery, and in my mind, I'm still disabled. I can't even get out there and play basketball. I don't hardly do shit. I look like I'm okay, but I walk. But I really physically, I think I'm disabled. But I get to rehab, man. I start feeling so good. I'm eating so much food. I gained like 20 pounds, but I gained like 10 pounds in a week. And then next thing you know, I'm out there playing basketball, shooting hoops, doing shit I didn't know I could do. And then I just, and then I had all these emotions that I had not dealt with. My papa dying. I ain't never cried. I didn't go to the funeral, and I was really close to him. He's like my best friend. And then my best friend dying, and then we had been fighting. We had just back started talking because we had an issue, and I screwed him over drugs, like I did a lot of people over drugs, gambling, and but he died, and I felt bad about that. So all these emotions come up, and then shit I did with my kids, I put my kids through all this stuff come up. So when you first get to rehab, you're trying to deal with all these emotions, and out here when you deal with that, that's why everybody just goes right back doing drugs. You're trying to stay numb, you know, and then but in rehab you can't get high, so you got to deal with it. And then everybody's saying that I wouldn't do it, I couldn't do it. It was, and then my friend Kayla, what she had talked to me about, all that was motivation to stay. And then the people there at the recovery place was super nice, man. um I almost left over cigarettes, and then the people, they bought me some cigarettes, gave me. Um, and being around the people, the AA, hearing other people's stories, and you thinking, you know, you think you're out here all alone, and but there's a whole different world, and opportunities open up to you when you get sober, and when you go to AA, and you listen to the people in AA. It's just I bonded with some people, man. Like out here, there was no friends. Like I mean, I had a couple friends, but and I ain't gonna say I got no friends. I got some people out here that love me, but they in the dope game. But and you ain't got no real people, that I don't know how to explain it, but when you're in rehab, you just meet people that it's going through the same shit you are, and you bond with people. And I bonded with some people in rehab, man. And hopefully when they get out, I got some supposed to get out this week, and hopefully, uh, we'll be in touch. And and I'm gonna stay. I don't even want to get high no more, man. I feel so good. Um, I'm high on life.
Hmm.
You know, I just want to go
That,
to work. I'm disabled. I get a disability check, and fuck that check, man. I don't even want that check. I want to go to work. I've been trying to play basketball for a week, man. There ain't no place on the north side of town to go play basketball because I loved basketball growing up. Well, in rehab and they get basketball courts, I'm playing basketball. I'm back shooting. I'm amazing myself doing shit I didn't even know I could do, and I can, and God's good, and uh and I got all this energy now. Everybody thinks I gotta do this dope, so I have energy to go do that bullshit, man. I got more energy right now. Like my cousins and I'm doing so much stuff I can't even in rehab. They was like, man, you act like you on dope. I'm like, I ain't on dope. I just feel good. I felt so bad for so long. I've been doing drugs for a long time, and I ain't had a break, and I feel good. Um, I did my first testimony this morning at church, and I was scared to death. I got up there. I was trying to go shoot basketball. Every time I try to go play basketball, man, it don't work out. It's either cost $20 to get in here, or they ain't got course no more, and all the schools they got wrapped up anyways. Uh, so I'm trying to stay sober, man. I'm trying to find something to do. I don't have a ride right now, but my cousin let me use a ride, and we go to the church down here where there used to be a basketball goal. And we pull up there, and it's under construction, and the basketball goal ain't there. Well, this lady, I'm sitting in the parking lot. I felt like I need to explain what I was doing so she wouldn't think we was stealing stuff, and we pulled up there, and I was like, man, we was trying to see the basketball goals is here. We're trying to shoot basketball. And she said, well, we ain't got basketball, but we got Jesus here. And so ended up, she was like, she ended up knowing me. She was like, man, I thought you were dead from cancer. Or I thought, I heard you was in bad shape. And I'm like, well, man, I went to rehab and I got off drugs, and I'm 6 weeks sober now. And then she's like, man, you got to come give your testimony. And then so I did this morning. I was nervous, but I went there, and the people welcomed me in at Mineral Springs Baptist Church, and they was real nice. And I got up there and I did, gave my testimony, and it felt good. And then then I had this thing to do with you today with the podcast, and so I'm like,
been
I
a
ain't
good day for you.
huh?
Been a good day for you, it sounds like.
It's been a good day. And my last night, I was scared to death thinking about, man, because the old me wouldn't have did it. I make promises and I don't show up, man. But I promised that lady, I felt like it was God. And then I seen your thing on Facebook, and something told me, when I was in rehab, man, these people inspired me. They was like, man, you got to get out and tell your story. You could help lives. You could help addicts. You could help people on cancer. uh, you got so much to give. And then just my friend Richie, he's a rapper, and he's in uh, I forget what that's called, youth challenge or teen challenge or something. Anyways, but he was like, man, he wants to get out. He wants to rap and then go tell my story, and he wants to do the thing. He wants to, start just church stuff. And anyhow, but I'm ahead of the game, because I gave my testimony this morning, and then when I seen you, yeah, man, the old me wouldn't have done none of it, man. I talked to Shanks, I talked it, but when it got to it, and then even part of me earlier, I was like, man, this ain't the place for me to do no podcast, and I ain't got nothing but a phone. I was looking for excuses, and I'm like, no. I told that man I was gonna do it, and he's waiting on me, and I'm gonna keep my word. It's my thing. I didn't keep my word when my friend died, and I was supposed to go back and pick him up, and I never did get a chance, and I didn't go pick him up, and I'm trying to keep my word these days. But yeah, I'm glad, and I'm glad you listened to me.
Well, yeah, I'm glad we're getting towards the end here, and I really appreciate you coming on. I really do. You got quite
Yeah,
the story. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely good that you're telling your story because that's how we give back.
right. And I'm not done, man. Uh, I'm supposed to meet with somebody tomorrow, and then when I was at the church, earlier, the guy there, because I told him, I mean, I've been destroying lives in this community for a long time. I've been selling dope around here a long time, and really, I've been destroying lives, and I've been through a lot, like somebody told me, and I feel like it's time for me to give back. So if I can tell my story to people on drugs to try to get them to stop, or if I can help keep people sober, if I can get people with cancer, faith to, not to lay down and die, to believe in, to believe in God and to pray, because that's what saved me, praying. That's why I'm here with you right now, man. People prayed for me, and then all the people who believed in me, all the people who talked to me before I left rehab, you know, the people at AA. I mean, everybody. It wasn't just one person. It's just the whole sober community. Uh,
It
you
takes
know,
a village.
yeah, it is a village, and I'm ready to make my mark in it, and I plan on staying here. I don't want to get high no more. I want to meet friends, and I want to meet good people, and I want to meet people who's been through stuff like I have, and people on addicts. Maybe I can save some lives and keep my life, save my life. I'm here for a reason, and that's what I'm doing right here with you. So,
Well, again, I appreciate you coming on, and I think it's a good place for us to wrap it up.
right, okay.
All
I
right.
appreciate you listening to me and hearing my story, man.
No, like I said, I really, really appreciate you coming on. It means a lot. Like I said, I love doing this and giving people a voice.
But if you in the future, if you ever, I mean, you got to, you know how to get in touch with me. If you ever want to, you know, I plan on doing this a lot more. And so, anyways, but yeah, thanks for hearing my story, man.
All right, absolutely. So sit tight. And for everybody watching and listening, if you like what you heard and saw, go below and give us a like. Also, subscribe to see when we upload new videos. You can check us out at Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Tumblr. And I also suggest you check out our website. Got a lot of information and free resources. And that website is www.addicts-anonymous.com. And again, we've got plenty of free resources and literature. So again, I hope you enjoyed today, and until next time.
All right, thanks, man.